Hey guys, in today's video it's all about Christmas. Christmas for me is one of my most favourite times of the year. I live in Australia, so Christmas for us is in summer. So for us it's backyard cricket, it's water fights, it's board games in the air conditioning because let's face it, it gets hot. We don't have that beautiful white cold winter, but we have what we love about Christmas. So I love Christmas. So for me, I like to do a very rustic type Christmas, and that's just my style, but it also lends itself to being quite Australian because Australia can be quite rugged. So today I'm going to show you how I created 3 different types of timber Christmas trees using my miter saw, glue and a nail gun. So stick around. So I'm going to start by showing you how I made this framed Christmas tree. I take a scrap piece of timber. This one is 23.5 centimeters wide, and I think the length was about 30 centimeters. So what you'll see me doing is I'm finding the center of the board, and then I'm going to use my square edge to draw a line from that center point to the bottom 2 corners. This will just help me when I take it to the miter saw to find my angle. So when you're using a miter saw, make sure that you always use ear protection. I hate these things, they make me look like a chipmunk, but it'll protect my ears. So what I'm doing now is moving the deck of the miter saw to find the right angle. It takes a few times to find the right angle, but once you've got it, you can lock it down into place. So after I make the first cut, I flip the board over and make the second cut to form that triangle shape. The best part about this is you have 2 scrap triangle pieces that you can glue together to create a second tree. So to make the frame for this Christmas tree, you want to start by cutting a 45-degree angle on one end of your timber. After cutting the 45-degree angle, I line it up with the top of the tree and I just mark it where I'm going to give it a rough cut. This is just so that it's easier for me to work with. After I've done the rough cut, I then cut another piece at 45 degrees again, and what happens is they butt up against each other. So 145 goes on the flat of the timber, and the other 45 makes that triangle point shape. What I do next is I take my pencil and I use my pencil to make a mark at where the bottom of the tree is so that I can take it over to my miter saw and trim off those edges. The angle that you need to cut it to is 22.5 degrees. After finishing and trimming off those side pieces, I then do the same thing with the bottom piece. Again, I'm trimming that angle to 22.5 degrees to keep that point going. To make the trunk, I cut 2 pieces of timber at the same length and one a little bit longer. The 2 pieces at the same length, I glue and clamp those together, and the longer one will be the stand. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of me showing you how I nail and glue it all together. Moving on to the fun part, the decorating. So I started by painting this tree white, and then I used my favourite stamp from IOD, the Barnwood Plank. This stamp is awesome. It comes with so many different textures and elements that look like timber. So I used my brayer and a brown paint from Canterbury Blue, which is a chalk type paint, to decorate this tree. Check out how awesome that texture looks. Next I took the Iron Orchid Design Typesetting stamp and I just grabbed out JOY to spell joy, And again, I used Canterbury Blue chalk type paint in red. If your stamps are brand new and you have not used them before, you want to condition them with a high grit sandpaper. So a 220 grit, you just want to go in both directions just to give them a little bit of tooth for the paint to adhere to. I'm just using the clear backing sheet that comes on the stamps to hold on to the lettering so that it is easier to apply. You want to hover over your piece, and when you commit, you commit. You don't want to shift your stamp. This is my little mate, the magpie. All day when I was doing these projects outside, he was following me. He was just trying to figure out what I was doing. Now in Australia, magpies can be quite vicious. They swoop when it's magpie breeding season. It is the male who swoops. It's the dad who is protecting his young. So a few years ago, we decided to start feeding them. When you start feeding a magpie family, they accept you as part of their family and they stop swooping you, because we literally had magpies bomb diving us through the carport. So they can be quite nasty. This little fella was my best friend all day. He was quite funny. Now, little unknown fact, I'm terrified of birds. Moving on to the second tree, it is very similar to the frame of the first tree. Taking 2 lengths of timber at similar lengths, you're going to start by cutting a 45-degree angle on one end of both pieces of timber. Then taking a smaller scrap of timber, you're going to cut one end at 22.5 degrees, hover over the piece, scribe where you need that second cut, and then take it over to the miter saw and cut that at 22.5 degrees as well. Lastly, I then use my pencil again to scribe a line at the bottom and again cut that at 22.5 degrees. I then just use glue and my nail gun and put the tree together. To decorate this tree, I used Canterbury Blue chalk paint in brown and applied one coat of that over the whole tree. I then took Canterbury Blue Hunter Green and painted over the tree again, making sure to get right into the corners of the tree. And then to finish off this tree, I decided to give it a heavy distress with some sandpaper. And then finally moving on to the last tree. With this one, I decided to make it a little bit bigger in the video, but paint the smaller tree. To start this tree, you start with a triangle. So I was using a 25-degree angle. So you cut one angle, you flip it over and line it up to get the triangle shape. Once you have that top triangle shape, take the measurement from the bottom of it, and the top of the next piece is going to be smaller than the bottom of the top piece, the piece above it. You then repeat it again with the next piece, and you can decide to put however many pieces you would like to make the tree as big as you would like. I just used glue and clamps to glue the tree together. Left it there for a while before I released the clamp and then started to decorate. I started by painting this tree with the same brown from Canterbury Blue chalk paint. I then tried to dry brush it with white paint, which I wasn't really happy with, and then I decided to paint the whole entire Christmas tree with red paint and give it a heavy distress as well. I just love how these trees came together, and I was so excited when I got to take photos of them today for this video. I was like a kid in a lolly shop. I was so excited. I love Christmas. I just want to say a big thank you for watching and for supporting my channel. This video has been a collab with my friends at Jamie Ray Vintage and a business coaching group that I'm part of. So please go and watch the playlist and support my friends, and also give them a thumbs up and subscribe to their channel.